What's up, everybody? This is Patrick again from WP Builder Helper, and today we're going to be going over the next WordPress update that's coming down the pipe. They released some info on it, and there's a lot of changes coming. There's not so much big changes, there's little small changes that they're making. Mostly a lot of changes to Gutenberg. I think there's about 16 in total. And there's a whole lot of information to go over. So we're going to take and we're going to look at that in the demo site. We're going to see what it's about. What are they doing? What are they changing? What do you need to know about? And hopefully I can give you some information before it comes out so that you can be prepared. All right, let's get started. Hey everybody, back again. So here we are on the WordPress.org page, and it's talking a little bit about Beta 1, which just came out the 23rd. Today is the 25th, so this is some fresh information. If you haven't had a chance, you can download the beta here. They give you a chance. You could try the beta tester plugin for different things. I'm not actually going to install the beta. I kind of want to look at the old site, which has, I have an old site that has 5.2, and I want to look at 5.3 and the changes that they're saying that are going to happen. So that's what we want to look at. Maybe in another video we could take when they get closer to this beta, because WordPress normally comes out with a couple of betas. We can take and look at it. But let's look at some of the features that they've just announced. So here's a few of them, and right off the bat we're hit by the Gutenberg. There's 12 releases of the Gutenberg plugin. They're going to be merged into 5.3, which means a long list of features coming for Gutenberg. So once again, if you don't like Gutenberg, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's here to stay. They're going to keep improving it, and they're going to keep adding stuff to it. So some of these I'm not going to be able to show, but some of them I do want to take and go look at and kind of go over with you. So I looked over this list, but I really didn't research too deep into it. Alright, so group blocks and group interactions. From what I understand in Gutenberg, if we take a look at our screen, I think right now blocks are independent. So when you choose an image block, or let's just ignore that, let's choose another block, you have to move these independently. So I think what they're talking about is actually grouping it to where you can, well, no, I guess you don't have to move them independently, because I think you can move these two right now. But supposedly they're talking about grouping them, so maybe it makes it easier. So if I wanted to take and group these and move them above, yeah. So as you can see, I can't, oh, you can move them. So I guess I don't know why they're grouping them then. There's probably some reason why they're grouping them. I'm not really quite sure. Maybe just to make it easier. But I thought that maybe if you could select them and you can just use the move up arrow, maybe that's not convenient enough for people. They actually want to drag, because if you drag, it fails. But it works if you're using the up arrows and the down arrows, which work right here. So maybe that's why they're doing the grouping. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe just easier. Maybe easier for templates, easier for those type of things. I'll have to look into that and try and find an answer to that as to why they're doing it. Columns, block improvements with support and patterns. So columns have been something that has been aggravating in Gutenberg. I kind of played with them. I write a lot of blog posts for the WPBuilderHelper.com website, and columns are just annoying. As a matter of fact, it's gotten to the point where I've had to use third-party plugins because columns are so terrible. I think if we go to layouts, you can see columns, and the way it works is, so it's supposed to work where that you can kind of drag this information in. So for instance, if I wanted a heading, I'm supposed to be able to just drag it in here, but you see it throws off the formatting because there's formatting blocks here, and it moves the column widget down below those formatting blocks. And so I'm hoping that they're gonna like look at this and maybe fix this, or start, I don't know what they're gonna do with it, but it's highly annoying. It's very hard picking where certain objects go in columns. Now I don't think that's what they're talking about. They're saying with support and patterns. So obviously over here we can see that there's not a lot of support. There's some paragraph settings, there's some color settings, there's some advanced obviously, and drop cap. That's really all you get. You don't get a lot with these columns. They don't give you a whole bunch of information. So here's some text alignment. Wait, that's the heading. I'm on the heading. So let's go to columns. No, that's just a paragraph text. Hold on. Let me see. Let me add a blank column. So here we are in a blank column. And if I just select this, there we go. There's your columns. So as you can see, all you've really got is this, where you can kind of go in and adjust your columns to where you can have more or fewer or whatever the case is. You don't have any width settings to take and go unless you're using CSS classes. It's just a pain in the butt. I mean, it's something that should have been added in from the very beginning if you're going to allow columns in here. But they don't have it. So let's keep going. Table block improvements, including text alignment support, header, footer support, and colors. So tables are another thing that are becoming bigger. People who are writing blogs for the purpose of doing affiliate style blogs have noticed that Google has been on a trend recently with tables where you almost need to have them. A lot of people like tables because if we go to the table, so here's a table, an example of and it'll say create table, rows and columns and everything. But a lot of people like tables because tables are an easy way to organize information. And they're very useful for many, many different topics and many, many different subjects. And so you can see over here, there's just not a lot of options. You have some very limited options to take and add to the table. As a matter of fact, it's kind of ridiculous how many. You just don't have hardly anything. So they're adding some header and footer ability to these tables, so you'll probably be able to adjust headers and footers. They're going to add in some more colors so that you can play with the colors. Maybe you're wanting a gray, maybe you're wanting a black table to fit your website color, things like that. So that's really good. Anybody who's using tables for any kind of blogging or anything like that, that's going to be a great addition. As a matter of fact, that might lead me to get rid of my plugins that I have because I've used tables on certain posts just because I've needed them to organize information whenever I do comparisons or things like that. That'll be really good to have. It might make tables way more useful than they currently have. Gallery block improvements, reordering, inline, and caption support. So galleries right now, I'm not even exactly sure of where you find the galleries. They're right here. And apparently you just go to the media library. This is a blank media library, so it doesn't even have anything. So I could go in and I could create a gallery. Let's select some files. Let me go in and find some pictures. And we'll just go in and select some of these pictures right here. And most of these are not WordPress. They might, yeah, I was worried about that. Some of these are some giant pictures. So I was like, I didn't really expect that most of these would get included, but let's do it. We'll create a gallery, insert the gallery. Okay, and as you can see, you've got your 3 pictures here, and obviously you've got some function here. But over here, it has the crop images. You can select the columns, link to, and it says they're improving it by using a reorder inline. So there's some function when it comes to just setting up how the gallery looks. I wish they would add in masonry galleries. That's something that's really popular nowadays that everybody uses for websites and things like that. Masonry is pretty cool, and I wish they would have that. And it says they'll also add in caption support. So right now, each of these images, well, it looks like it already has a caption. So I'm kind of curious as to why they need caption support. I don't know what that means. So you can already add in a caption. I don't know. We'll have to look at that too and see what the deal is. They're also adding separator block improvements. They're going to add in color support. Right now, when you use a separator block, I don't believe that there's a lot of formatting for them. I think it's very, here's the separator. I think it's very, very simple. styles. Yeah, it's just got wide line and dots. That's really it. Default wide line and dots. You don't have a lot that you can do with this, and so they're going to add in some color support, which is pretty cool. People like using colored separators. I think that's a good move. That's smart. Should have been in there from the beginning, but whatever. List block improvements, indent, outdent, shortcuts, start value, and reversed order. These are just for the actual list blocks, which, once again, this is very useful because if you're writing any kind of list, then you like to have different options for displaying that list because people get bored very quickly. And in here, you can see they've already got some outdent and some indent, but apparently they're going to be adding more to it to make it just a little bit more friendlier. Let's see, indent, outdent, shortcut, start value, and reverse order support. Interesting. So the button block is going to support target and border radius, which is pretty cool. Finally, you'll be able to do curved edges on your buttons. So let's find where the buttons are. And I'm sorry for not knowing this ahead of time. I should have researched this so you didn't have to watch it. Could probably just cut this out, but I'll leave it. So it's already got curved edges, so that's, once again, I mean, okay. I guess the thing about it is button radius is going to let you have a square block, though, which you can select it here, but it's actually going to give you the ability to adjust it without having to just go with default or outline. So you're going to actually be able to adjust the edges where you can curve it more and make it more like a pill bottle, something that a lot of people probably want, which is pretty nice. Give you some buttons to match whatever your website has. Once again, that's just something that you would think that they would have in it. It's a CS selector, and even though you can add it in here, it's just weird that it's not in here. There's so many options that you don't realize aren't in here, but they should be in here. Animations and micro interactions, moving blocks, drop downs, and the number of small animations to improve the UX. This is just basically saying they're going to make the animations a little bit smoother. It's a neat idea, but it's kind of, you know, it is what it is. Accessibility navigation mode, which allows you to navigate with the keyboard between blocks without going into their content. That's pretty cool. I like that. That's a, let's call it, ease of use function feature that's just going to make it easier for you to use these blocks and move them around and things like that. And then obviously it says block style variations API. So they're adding API so that people can tap into that, third parties can tap into that and use that API to kind of make changes to the block styles, which will inevitably lead to more and more Gutenberg support and more Gutenberg options in the future. There'll be more plugins specifically made for Gutenberg to extend the functionality in the way that there are with page builders right now with extra add-ons and things like that. And it says there's also other improvements such as data modules, insert help panel, accessibilities, document settings, snack bar notices, typewriter experience, and fixed a number of accessibility reports, which is always great to hear. There's nothing wrong with that. So now we get into the guts of what WordPress is about. So WordPress always likes to update their theme. They always have a new theme that's coming out, and they're always about updating the experience too. And this one's no different, although I wouldn't call this a major release, even though I know it is a major release because they're bumping it up a number to 5.3. It's more of a minor release to me just by these changes that they've said. But like I said, everybody's different, so I think they're doing it mainly for Gutenberg because you saw the Gutenberg changes. So what they're going to do is with this brand new 5.3, they've already said that they managed to shave off 1.5 seconds of loading time on a sizable post of 36,000 words and 1,000 blocks since WordPress 5.2. So that's a pretty useful performance feature. In 5.3, it's going to introduce 2020, the latest theme in our project history. This elegant new theme is based off of the WordPress theme Chaplain, which is released in WordPress.org theme directory earlier this summer. So that's pretty cool. And then it says, wait, there's more. It's going to include a rich release of including numerous enhancements and interactions with the interface. So this is where it gets interesting. The admin interface enhancements design and accessibility team has worked together to port some parts of Gutenberg styles into the whole WP interface. Why? I don't like the Gutenberg style. The Gutenberg style is backwards from the WordPress style. Gutenberg should look more like the WordPress admin panel, but it looks more like something different. That's just weird. These improvement styles fix many accessibility issues, improve color constraints from forms and buttons, and consistency between the editor and the admin interface. So once again, and a modernizing of the WordPress color scheme to add better zoom management and more. We'll have to see how this works. I don't like the Gutenberg style. I'm just going to be the first to say it. It's not my favorite style, so I really don't care about that. Big images are coming to WordPress. Uploading non-optimized high-resolution pictures from your smartphone isn't a problem anymore. WordPress now supports resuming uploads when they fail. That's very cool. As well as larger default image sizes. That way pictures you can add from the block editor look best no matter how people get to your site. That's cool, but I see a lot of issues with this. If you're like a photographer, that's great that you're adding big images to your site because maybe you want to show a big image, you have a portfolio, you're a designer, you're doing something like that and you need a big image. But I'm also a little bit worried about this because if clients are uploading big images, if WordPress doesn't say, hey, wait, this image is way too big, you're going to create problems for people who are building sites. They're going to have to go in using third-party plugins like Short Pixel and everything else to optimize these images because they're not going to be optimized. Now, if WordPress were optimizing these, then I'd have no problem with this update. But seeing as they're not optimizing it, this is going to be a little bit of a nightmare, and I'm kind of worried about what's going to happen with clients with this. Automatic image rotation during the upload, that's great. I think that's cool. Site health checks, improvements to indicate that 5.3 is easier to identify and understand areas that may need troubleshooting on your site. Also cool, because I think the health screen needs a little bit of love. I think it's very vague right now, and clients don't really understand it from the standpoint where they're going to ask you and bother you as a developer, hey, fix this, fix this, fix this. And some of that really doesn't even need to be fixed. I mean, it is what it is. They're trying to create a level playing field with everybody and make it like where there's a standard to live up to with your site, but really it just annoys the hell out of you. This is also very interesting. Admin email verification. You will now be periodically asked to check the admin email address to make sure it's up to date when you log in as an administrator. This reduces the chance that you'll get locked out of your site if you make changes to your email address. This is just a basic security thing. I'm sure if you work anywhere or if you have worked anywhere, changing your password on a rotating schedule of usually every 2 to 3 months is pretty normal with almost any business, any kind of website. And so WordPress is finally going to roll out something that is going to allow you to basically have a periodic check, and it's going to pop up and it's going to say, hey, you haven't changed your email address in a while. Is this still the correct email address? So that you lose your site. I mean, it's clever. It's cool. Don't know how annoying it's going to be for some people who don't want to change their email. Hopefully you can skip it if you don't want to. Because for me, I mean, changing your email is cool, but when you're using two-factor authentication, it almost wipes that out. If someone gets your email address or your password and they log into your site, if you have two-factor automatically on your WordPress, it stops them from ever getting past that. Yes, they can probably get into it, and there's ways hackers can get into that, and that doesn't stop it, but it's an extra layer of security that you don't need to worry about the password as much anymore. You can change it once a year, that type of thing. If it gets hacked, obviously you should always change your password. So there's time and date component fixes. These are for developers. PHP 7.4 compatibility. This means you're going to see a lot more sites moving to 7.4 because it's compatible when it's released later this year. You're probably going to want to do that. You're probably going to want to move all your clients up to 7.4 if you haven't already. And there's also some other information here that they've gone over. So there have been 400 tickets fixed, numerous bug fixes, and everything like that. So that's pretty much the beta 5.3 beta 1. So I wanted to kind of just go over this, just go over the details. I know it's been a slog to go through it, but I wanted to kind of tell you so that you can run into it. I did read somewhere when they were talking about this admin part at the bottom, the admin email verification, that you will be able to adjust the interval in which that sends that pop-up, letting the client know to change that email address so that they're not annoyed every 2 months or every 3 months or every 4 months or whatever the case is. You can set it to a year if you want to set it to a longer interval. So that's cool, and I'm happy that they've done that. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and maybe someday soon we'll actually install the beta and look over it and do a quick video with that so we could actually physically see the changes. But hopefully you've enjoyed it. Like and comment down below, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I will see you guys next time.